So what's the connection between a private meeting with an ambassador, a video that gets leaked, and a full-on anti-terror raid? Well, today we're going to break down the story of one man who claims his home was raided, all because of a recording he decided to share with the world. And that brings us to the big question, right? Why on earth would an anti-terror unit be raiding someone's home just over a video? According to the man at the center of this, the answer actually starts about a month before the raid, at a private meeting. So here's the basic timeline we're working with. In March, there's this private meeting. Fast forward 1 month to April, and bam, an anti-terror unit is at his door. The key to this whole story, at least according to our source, is figuring out what exactly happened in between. Okay, let's start with the most dramatic part of this story, the raid itself, told from the perspective of the man who leaked that video. So, according to his account, this is how it all went down. Anti-terror units show up at his home, but he isn't there. He says they just went in anyway and started confiscating basically anything that could hold data. We're talking an old phone, a PC, a hard drive, even his notebooks. And then he gets a phone call telling him he'd better get down to the police station. So you have to be wondering what in the world was on that video that could trigger a response like that. To get that, we need to rewind back to that meeting in March where he made the recording in the first place. All right, let's set the scene. The meeting took place at a Jewish community center in Austria. The narrator, who identifies himself as German and Moroccan Jewish, was there with about 20 other people. And the person they were all there to see was David Rudd, who is the Israeli ambassador to Austria. Now, according to the narrator, the meeting kicked off pretty much how you'd expect. The ambassador was talking about diplomacy, the hostage situation, and what the narrator called the usual Zionist visions. But then, he says, the conversation took a very sharp and unexpected turn. And this is where we get to the real heart of the issue, the specific statements that were caught on tape, which the narrator says came directly from the ambassador. So this is the first quote the narrator claims he captured. The ambassador is alleged to have said, and I'm quoting here, "If Europe were crazy enough to invest again in Gaza, we would have to destroy it the next time." But it was the next alleged statement that the narrator found truly shocking. He attributes this quote to the ambassador. "There should be a death sentence to be killed off in war if you hold a gun, even if you are a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old. And the narrator says this was just a totally surreal moment for him. He claims that as these things were being said, he's looking around the room at the 20 or so other people, and he sees nothing, no reaction from anyone. Just, silence. So after hearing all this, the narrator decided he had to do something. He released the video with these alleged comments, and that set off a whole new chain of events. So he publishes the video, and it just explodes online. It goes totally viral. But here's the really strange part. According to him, he claims that not a single major media outlet in either Austria or Germany would touch the story. He even says journalists told him later that, yeah, the video was everywhere, but no one dared to officially cover it. So a whole month of this alleged media silence goes by, and that's when the raid happens. Now, just to put his legal situation into perspective, he points out that in Austria, if you publish video of someone without their consent, the potential sentence is up to 1 year in jail. Okay, so this is where it all comes together in the narrator's mind. He doesn't see these as just a series of random events. No, he sees it as a coordinated response, and he points the finger directly at the state. This slide really breaks down his main argument. On one side, you have his claim. A high-ranking official is allegedly making what he calls genocidal claims, and on the other side, you have what he sees as the state's reaction. He says instead of investigating the official, the Austrian state decided to go after the people ringing the alarm bells. And from this one personal experience, the narrator draws some pretty huge political conclusions. He alleges there's complicity between European countries and what he terms Zionist interests. He sees the raid as a sign of fascism coming closer, and even accuses the state of making up terrorists on the left. His belief is that a capitalist elite is pulling the strings in the media and has zero interest in siding with regular people. He ends his personal account by quoting the American folk singer Woody Guthrie, sort of framing his own fight in a much larger historical battle, and sharing his own belief that, in the end, all these fascists bound to lose. And so this whole story leaves us with a really fundamental question, one that goes way beyond just this one incident. When does a private conversation become a matter of public interest?
Where do we actually draw the line between the public's right to know what officials are allegedly saying and an individual's right to privacy, even if they're a public figure?